Blog Talk Radio.
Live from Washington, D.C., it's Quintessential Listening Poetry Online Radio. QLPOR, as it's widely known, features a bevy of poets, spoken word artists, and live poetry readings with best-selling authors. Your host is Dr. Michael Anthony Ingram.
Hello, everyone. I'm pleased to welcome Christy Sawyer as my guest tonight. It's her first time on the podcast, and I hope this is the beginning of many, many appearances. Christy lives in Maryland and works as an educator and writer. Her debut poetry book, A Delicate Rose with Thorns, will be published later in 2023. It's a book about the mundane, the magnificent, and everything in between, expressed through 6-word stories, haikus, and free verse. In fact, she won the Haiku Guys National Poetry Month contest in 2019. Christy is a member of many poetry groups, including the Quintessential Listening Poetry Group. Welcome to the program, Christy. Did I forget anything? Who are you, Christy?
Thank you, Michael, for that warm welcome. I'm a native of Na-kuh-tish, Louisiana. My writings are often infused with the rich gumbo of the region, and my simple introduction includes this. I think my parents may be listening, and their names are Ernest, my dad, and my mom is Sadie. And my introduction is, I am from Ernest, I am from Sadie, I am from go upside their head, I am from act like a lady, I am from daddy's girl, I am from mama's baby, I am from Ernest, I am from Sadie. Thank you.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Welcome to the program. Let's begin this poetic journey, Christy. What is poetry?
Okay, I'm ready.
Yes, what is poetry?
I think simply put, Michael, poetry is sights, sounds, taste, hearing, touch, all of the senses expressed through expression of words, spoken and written.
All right. Give me some more about poetry. Why do you like to write poetry?
I think definitely it gives a voice to the voiceless. I think often my poetry, some is about me, but a lot is about other people. It gives them a chance to be seen. It gives them a chance to be heard. I think also poetry can give dignity as well as just a myriad of things that poetry, in its expression, but a myriad of functions in being a poet and with poetry.
So if you had to answer, what does poetry mean to you from the heart, what would you say?
Oh, from the heart. So definitely, yes. I think definitely poetry is like an outlet for me. Definitely growing up, I was a very shy person, a very shy child. And so I like to write. I didn't speak a lot. I like to read. So I think, reading and writing definitely goes hand in hand. One of the things, if you would allow me just to have like a little piece to share, that really I think kind of sums up to how what poetry has done for me. And it is, I spoke my truth and I was rejected, yet that same truth kept me protected. I spoke my truth and stood there naked, yet that same truth kept me protected. I spoke my truth so others contested, yet that same truth kept me protected. And I think definitely there's a question you sometimes ask on the show. Is poetry, do you build a wall with poetry? Or does it, it's sometimes in a way freedom? I definitely think in a way I build a wall with my poetry in a way that it gives me, it's me saying it. I don't hide behind those words. I take full accountability, but in some ways it's also a shield because here it is on the paper. So it's like my pen saying it, but I'm saying it too, but it's representing me. And so I definitely, I use poetry in that way. Also, too, I use poetry as a weapon. I like to In fact, sometimes I say, one of my sayings is, "This means war. My words are the weapons."
All right.
So that's some of the ways, the functions of poetry for me, Michael.
Fantastic. So knowing what you know about poetry, in a nutshell, why is it important?
I think definitely what I know about poetry. Poetry is something like, again, the functions of advocacy, of expression, of emotions. Words are very important. I think everything starts as a thought.
Okay.
And then I think every thought can be expressed. So, we have poetry for enjoyment, poetry for political warfare. There's things that you can use your words, like I say, my words are the weapon. This means war. My words are the weapon. Also, something beautiful, with the baby, the smile of a baby's face, or the scent, or the whiff. And you can also put that, very eloquently. So it's like the function of living. Poetry kind of embodies that.
Very nice.
Human experience.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
Now, as you think about your body of work, what are some of the predominant themes? What do you write about?
I definitely write about where I am, where I'm going, where I want to be. I write, like I said, a lot about the human experience, which is very vast. But again, like I like to particularly write about introspection for myself. Sometimes I write other people's stories, and just to express, again, like for people who may not be seen or may not be honored in a sense. So I think it's definitely two things, like maybe threefold, quarterfold, perhaps.
Right.
But one is definitely I think about where I was, where I'm going, where I came from, where I am, where I will be, and I also like to write about other people's stories that may not get a lot of attention because they're not that, fabulous, or they're not that interesting. They're not, they're kind of like the day-to-day type things. So those are kind of like my predominant works in that sense.
Very nice.
Yes,
very nice.
you.
Now, how does a poem begin for you? With an idea, a form, or an image?
Oh, idea, I think definitely. Definitely idea. And the reason why I say that, because it kind of takes a flow of its own. I don't necessarily maybe see it. And I actually have a few poems here, maybe one or two, maybe more than that. But one that it just came out. It just seemed to take just a flow across the pages. I don't know if you would like for me to share that now or maybe later, but it's just one I wrote like in one sitting, and I was like, okay, yeah.
All right. Share it now then, please. Love to hear it.
Also, one of the things, I don't really have titles for my poems, so this is untitled. And so, okay, this poem, I hope my words do not offend thee. It's not me. I have no power over them. Spring from my mind to my mouth. Stop short. Fingers must let them out. They sprawl across their pages and stages, sometimes rages, set free from their cages. The rantings of a woman who is mad. The depression of a woman who is sad. The impressions of a woman who has some rough spots, but not a lot. Does not complain when in pain. What would it gain? Sweet, syrupy words of lust, broken trust, dreams threatening to rust, deferred, no crust. Words of celebrations, expectations, words of not just building theories, but building nations. Words of one who can't take it no more. The status quo. I can't continue to go and pretend that this is only the beginning when it's really the end, that life is oh so sweet. Or the blood of our children's blood flows through the streets. Not enough to eat, education incomplete. By those who seek to take and stake and say I tried and lied. I cried. Village burned, leaders tried. Father, I turn to thee. You said, who shall I send? I said, not me. But here I'm going, not knowing what to say, falling short, fear gets in the way. Words on the tip threatening to push through my mouth. They stop short, and my fingers must let them out. Thank you. That's the end of that one. Thank you.
It's very powerful. What is the purpose of that piece?
I think even though I said it wasn't an image, definitely not only just living, but I think definitely when I talk about the children or being an educator or seeing things that just in general that you know aren't right, but it's the status quo. So I think definitely that line. And so some people, like, sometimes I'll say, okay, this isn't right. Something should be done, and something can be done. And, you know, quite often I'm told that that's the way it is. And then I think that that's not the way it has to be.
Yes.
But it's been that so long, you know, it's been that way so long. So I think that's definitely what probably, and I've written that a few years ago, some years ago, but it's probably at that moment thinking, you know, let's call a thing, as they say, and then let's deal with it versus just kind of boxing it up and saying this is what it is.
All right. You know, they say that to see the world with complete honesty, one should look to comedians, artists, musicians, and poets. What do you think emerges naturally from your work, Christy? What emerges from you?
Definitely, again, I think, you know, one thing is the advocacy definitely. Empathy, and I think that's where advocacy comes from, because I'm definitely an empath. So I think that's the desire to write other people's story that may be unseen and unheard. So those are some of the things that I feel that kind of flows from me. Seeing and just being, again, like I think empathy is probably at the foundation of it. Because even if you say something, but you can tell, you know, I'm okay, but you can tell someone's not. And someone will say, oh, they say they're okay, but the empath will feel like, they're not. And then you want to help, not just to point out. Yeah, I think that's kind of what flows from you, Michael.
So how do you define empathy? Is your definition a personal one, a dictionary one? How do you define it? I've got a definition myself, and I'll share it when you're done. How do you define it?
Okay, well, I wrote a 6-word story. Let me see if I can bring it to mind.
All right.
Empath problems, feeling things too deeply. And so that's like my 6-word story there. So I think definitely feeling things, noticing minute things, noticing shifting, and feeling, and I think, again, like they're driven, I think not only wanting to just feel something, but wanting, especially if it's a change. I think empaths often feel like, I guess I would say myself, not every empath, I'm definitely feeling like maybe negative feelings. You know, someone may be feeling, you know, sad, angry, feeling rejected. So I definitely feel those things. And then I want to help, though. So I also want to heal. I don't want to just, you know, acknowledge, but I want something to happen to make it better. So that's kind of like that is my perspective of empathy.
All right. Well, I think my perspective is that everyone has their own unique lived experience. And if you can't understand another person's lived experience in totality, attempt to resonate with the feelings that go along with this story. There's a universal commonality in terms of our feelings. We know sadness, we know happiness, we know joy. So if you don't understand my story, what are the words that I'm using around my story? What are my nonverbals giving you? To me, that's how you build empathy. Yeah,
I agree with you. Yes,
I love it. Please share another poem.
Okay, so another poem. Also, I was telling you I had like a little snap here, but I definitely have. Okay, so this one is. I like to also, you know, as I say, emotions, not necessarily empathy. But relationships, and this one I think could definitely be within the romantic relationship realm. Again, no title, but the poem is this: speak your love language plainly, play a plan for us. I will follow your consonants with great concentration, follow your letters to a T. I remember all my lines, your leading lady. Write a sonata, and I'll be your piano's accompanist. With light fingers but pressured phalanges when needed, I will interrupt your aria to sustain our duet. Take our tango to the next level. I will follow your rhythmic thrust, twists and turns, Dear love, I will follow your lead.
I think I'd like you to read that one again. I ask people to read poems twice. The first time you hear it, you're just settling in. But the second time you hear it, it takes on a different tone, I believe. So please share it again. Thank you.
I will. Okay. Speak. I guess. Speak your love language plainly. Play a plan for us. I will follow your consonants with great concentration. Follow your letters to a T. I will remember all my lines, your leading lady. Write a sonata, and I'll be your pianist accompanist. With light fingers, but pressure phalanges when needed. I will interrupt your aria to sustain our duet. Take our tango to the next level. I will follow your rhythmic thrust, twist and turns. Dear love, I will follow your lead.
Very nice. Very nice. Does it hurt you to write poetry? Does it hurt you to write poetry? Why or why not?
No, I don't. It's more of a release.
Okay.
So it's more of a way to release hurt. It's more of a way to release pain. So definitely, I don't say it hurt. It's actually very healing. It's very, very healing for me to write.
Okay. All right. Now, how do you develop your poems? Kind of guide us through the stages of a poem's development. What do you put into a poem?
Usually my poems are sometimes in response. Often they're in response to something that has happened, either to me or someone else, something I've seen or, heard or whatever. And I think I just began to write. I think in this particular poem I just recently shared, my most recent one I shared, I just thought about relationship, coming together in relationships, how it's a dance, how, someone can sometimes take the lead, someone can, sometimes, have to follow. And I also thought about, when I thought about dance, I thought about music. So just thinking, kind of relationship is definitely very universal.
Yes.
And so I don't know, and so it started, here and then ended like that last, dear love, I will follow your lead. Although it could definitely be to a person, it could also be to love. Love, I will follow your lead.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm answering the question about the process. I think I just I hear something and they become, the words and the images come to me and then it ends. There's a certain, like after when I put dear love, I will follow your lead, there was nothing else. It was not any more stanzas. Like I knew this poem is over,
All right.
That's it. I think that's what I kind of want to get to.
All right.
Yeah.
So the poem leads you where it wants to go, or do you lead the poem where you want to go?
Ooh, it's a fight. It's a back and forth sometimes.
Talk to me.
It's a back and forth. I think in this particular case, the poem led me. I just felt like it flowed. But sometimes too, I'm using words, and then words are coming, sentences, structures, flows, packaging of words, and I'm like, no, that's not it. That's not, So it depends. To be honest with you, I can't always say, like I said, like this particular one, and the one I read before, I felt like the poem led me, but there having some other poems, I felt like I was the one, crafting. But,
all right.
Kind of saying nope and coming back, yeah. And I have one that's actually maybe later. It's kind of like a longer poem that I feel like I kind of.
Would you like to share it now? Would you like to share it now? You can.
Yeah, I'll go. Okay, I'll go ahead and share this one.
Okay.
Toda or nada, all or nothing. If I lounge on Australian beaches, your passport has expired, and I have emerged a beautiful butterfly, post-cocoon, planning kisses that was once reserved for you. Toda or nada, all or nothing. Want your cake and eat it too. Give all of me while you keep you. More time you say, but that's not true. Wasted many lifetimes waiting on you. Toda or nada, all or nothing at all. You made the decision, I made the call. Keep your net, I'll never fall in love with you again. I have emerged a delicate butterfly with tough skin. The end.
That was nice.
Thank you.
Tell me about an early experience where you learned that poetry had power.
One I remember very vividly. It might have been something earlier, but I remember this one vividly when I was in 12th grade. And I think 12th grade English, and we had to write a free write, just maybe a paragraph, just anything. And I wrote a story about a little girl who was orphaned. It's been a while since 12th grade. But I remember she was orphaned. She was by herself. I think her clothes may have been not the best. She had matted eyes. She had a cold, runny nose, maybe encrusted, and just waiting. I think she might have been waiting for someone to adopt her. Can't remember exactly why she went to the orphanage. But I remember my 12th grade English teacher bringing the paper and having, like, her eyes were watery. And she said, I saw this girl, and I saw that room, and I felt how she felt from this piece. And I was like, wow, you know. So I felt all these things that was happening. So just a 12th grade memory, but I also remember a 10th grade memory, but not as poetic.
All right.
But I do remember in 10th grade, we could get extra points for, I think it's like imagery, using imagery or something. And for within your writing, you could gain extra points. And I remember I was reading like from 7th to high school, probably a lot of romance novels. And so for my imagery, I wrote about some guys playing basketball. And one of the guys, what really stood out is that there's a lot of imagery about, you know, the sounds, and it's a hot day. It's like Louisiana type weather, whatever. But I remember I wrote one guy, like his shirt was off, and there was sweat trickling and it formed a pool. And I wrote that, and so my teacher said, you got all the points, but it's borderline. So it's just borderline. He said, you know what I mean, borderline. So, yeah, please not writing more of that. I was like, oh, I was reading a lot of romance novels. So those are the two that really stick out with how writing could, you know, make an impact.
All right. I like that. I'd like to talk about your book. When will it be published? A Delicate Rose with Thorns.
Great question, Michael. And hopefully by this summer, I finally, and you know, I want to say you were actually a catalyst asking me to be on this show, so I really appreciate that. So I've had like 6-word stories, haikus, some free forms, even free flows, free verse, and even short stories. And I used to put a lot of them on Facebook. And it would get some pretty good, you know, feedback. Like I said, it's in a few writing clubs still and a few writing groups. And sometimes people would say, okay, where's the book? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. It's funny. And so, because I never really, you know, I just write. Sometimes, like, you know, I used to write like a lot of 6-word stories too. And I actually had people would, you know, tell me, you know, I would buy the book because I could just think of a 6-word story almost. Sometimes it would be something like, I'm the owner and the team. Tell me who doesn't desire dignity, 6 words. Just, you know, he loves her this, which I have this, you know, as well. And so sometimes, you know, I just pop off on certain things, and people are like, oh, I like that. When were you? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. But, yeah, to answer your question, a long answer for a short question, I do have some people coming along to really not only just, you know, I mean, to help me get the actual tangible, you know, make it happen. So I'm looking at by the end of summer, this summer, yes.
Very nice. I want to talk about the title a bit. A Delicate Rose with Thorns. Tell me about the title.
Because I think I'm definitely, you know, a rose is very pretty. It's a popular flower, you know. It's not the only, but, you know, most times, you know, Valentine's Day, sometimes birthdays. I mean, there's a myriad of other flowers. And it can be delicate, definitely flowers, you know, the petals can fall. But also, you have to be careful because there's thorns there. Often can be thorns. So I think that kind of embodies. I can definitely be delicate, and I can be fragile, and I can be, I guess, not necessarily pretty, but pleasant. And I think that's me. Mm-hmm. Also, there's some thorns. There's some thorns here. All right. So be careful. So that's why I chose the title A Delicate Road with Thorns.
Well, I'd like you to come back when you've completed it and published it and debut it on this program.
Thank you. I definitely will. Yeah. I would appreciate that. Thank you. I would definitely keep that in mind.
Well, let me ask this question. With this book, are you hoping this book resonates with a broad range of readers, or are you targeting a specific audience?
I think a broad range of readers, because in this book is so many titles. I mean, so many different, kind of like tonight, I kind of gave you definitely a hodgepodge. But I think as well, too, there will be something for everyone, because also there's, I have lots of haikus about nature. I have lots of things, about love. There's some political poems in here. I think a lot of people, broad-based, could find something that they could connect, because also a lot of it's just like different aspects of the human experience. So I think as a human and with broad titles or, broad subjects, I think it could be something that a lot of people, it would resonate with a lot of people.
All right. Let's take a brief break and we'll be right back.
Okay.
We are back. I am Michael Anthony Ingram. I'm here with Christy Sawyer. Christy, please share a poem.
Okay. This is one of my favorite poems. I think it's one that just was led. I didn't have to make it happen. It just says, he must eat and grow strong, consuming the lean years, and turning them into liquid courage, distributing his preserving words, deeds, and actions, letting them see, yes, your resilience is indeed your superpower. Come to the table of your making.
Wow. Poets hail from all over the world, and you shared where you hailed from earlier. And the name of the city again, because I'm not going to try to say it because I know I'll mangle it up.
It's Na-kuh-tish in Louisiana. Na-kuh-tish, yes.
Because when I wrote it down earlier today, that's not what I said in my head. So I'm glad I didn't say it.
It's okay. Almost if you're from there, you'll know, and then maybe you'll know outside of Other people are kind of like butchered. They're like, what? Because there's too many letters, and only 3 syllables. So that's another thing. Lots of letters, but only 3 syllables.
Well, tell me about how growing up there, I'm assuming, living there, how does that shape your poetry?
Oh, most definitely. So as I, before said how it's all, my writings are often infused with the rich gumbo of the region.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So definitely, I think just like the nature of the people are very organic, meaning what you see is what you get.
All right.
And in a good way. Yeah, I grew up in a very it's a pretty small town. It's a pretty small city. It's the city of Natchitoches. But definitely people helping. I grew up surrounded by lots of family. Definitely grew up going to church. So church family. I grew up with very good teachers. So my educational family, definitely my first family, which my parents also have two younger sisters, and now they have two nieces and another niece. So aunts and uncles on both sides of the family, I think definitely shaped. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, church community shaped who I am, what I believe. And I often saw people doing whatever it took to help other people. Yes. Just, if you have, I have, you have. So that type of, coming together and helping, I think that's definitely a big takeaway from growing up there in that community with family and friends.
Christy, so much is happening in the world. The good, the bad, the ugly, as well as the indifferent. What do you view as being the role of a poet in modern day society?
I think the role of a poet can be multifunction, multifaceted, but definitely when I think of one of the ways, it is to inform, but also to inspire.
All right.
Often, when I think about my poetry, even some other poets that some of like my favorite, one comes to mind, Lincoln Hughes. I think in the way that it was to inform the times, what was going on, but in some ways also in this information, it inspired you, or it brought some connectivity, to a group of people that, that we, because first, before it really tackling a problem or addressing an issue, you must identify. You must, because sometimes I'm not saying very collectively, sometimes people may not even know it's an issue. They may, again, think that's the way it is. This is just what. And so I think definitely like informing and then also inspiring is one role of a poet. And under that, like I said, I think definitely just giving a voice in many different things besides informing. Also sharing, and again, enjoyment. A lot of the poems that we read or whatever, especially about nature and things like that, that gives enjoyment. But I think the biggest role, like I said, to tie it all together is, again, sharing the human experience. Sharing, because there's so many facets to that.
Well, let me ask you a question. I've traveled a lot with the poetry, spoken word poetry, taught a lot of workshops, and I've talked about how poetry gives voice to the voiceless, right?
Okay.
And I'm sitting here right now trying to figure out, how do we really do that? How do we really do that? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, there was actually a piece that, if I can find it, that I wrote, and hopefully I can. So a few of the things, and I wrote this. It wasn't me, but someone. She reached out to me. A few people actually reached out to me. Just like I do a lot of Facebook type poetry. I put my poetry on Facebook. So just the beginning of it, though, because I don't really see it, and if maybe we have time to do fun, I'll come back to it.
All right.
But it was, beginning was, she never wanted to be a baby mama and deal with the residual trauma of never knowing if you're coming or going. And then it kind of talks through about having, being with someone and, having a relationship and having this child. And at one point, like, she's, pregnant and he's, she's hoping that the person will step up and, and they started a relationship. This was something they wanted. There's different views of what, how about legality of marriage or not. And it fell apart. And there's the terminology baby mama, sometimes baby daddy. So I'm speaking more on the the term for, is for the woman, I understand. And sometimes there's a negative connotation attached to that. And so I don't think anyone says, oh, I want to be, a baby mama per se. I'm not saying you do, that's fine. But I just kind of thought about it, and then if I came up, she never wanted to be a baby mama and deal with residual trauma of never knowing if you're coming or going. This was a relationship. We were building something here. And, perhaps it fell apart. And therefore, sometimes like people say, well, because it's kind of like daddy's maybe, mama's baby. And so a few women, so that's not my story, that's not, having children. But a few women said, thank you, like women, into the inbox, like, thank you. Because, I'm so much more. There's so many other levels. Don't, pigeonhole me into this. So I think, that maybe what, maybe a light example in terms of what you were asking, but that's one way I saw, that's one way I kind of, remember some feedback. Also, too, a lot of 6-word stories. Some, I can't remember the exact 6 words. It's like, she must be okay, can't see, or she's okay, can't see the bruises. Because sometimes the bruises are covered, sometimes it's verbal, sometimes it is enough. So, but, so a few women actually, reached out. Again, that's not my story, but it's someone else's story. And it's like, So that's some of the ways I think it does give, like a voice, because people can hear and respect it in that way.
I guess I was looking at it from, a literal perspective, that they were sharing the poems themselves, that they were birthing a poem in a sense by helping them give voice to it. But I see what you're saying. By being there, by sharing your work, maybe they can't share it verbally, but just hearing somebody else talk about an experience that's similar to their own story, that at least someone is saying it. Does that sound correct? Is that right?
I do agree with you. Yes, I do agree with you. And I do want to kind of maybe more like your example, though, something else about sharing a story. And this is, I did like a little snippet at the beginning, which is I Am From poems. So I just did like, I'm from Ernest, I'm from Sadie. But I've seen some, mostly not in person, but I've seen some powerful. I remember one documentary I watched with students who were homeless, I think maybe in New York City. I've been students from across the country, but I know for sure New York. And all the challenges of, being homeless and being hungry and still trying to go to school and still, trying to look well and smell well. And they wrote these poems, I am not a homeless teen. I'm from, they included music. I'm from, still getting up every day, going to school, or, bathing in bathrooms or stations, but coming, I am from. So I think that also gives people the permission, to share their stories in a way. Again, like, to me, the most important thing I think with my stories or poems, whatever, is to try to be respectful. And I think that's also the impact. So I think in that way, also we've done it before with little children when I was teaching early, maybe like I remember 2nd grade. They were like, I'm from Pokemon. I'm from, but it was great because we gave them different titles and they just read in choral. So you would hear different things. But sometimes like someone would say, Fortnite or something. And they say, hey, who said Fortnite? And then there would be a connection. I'm Fortnite fan. So yeah, I think maybe that's an example, maybe your example as well. Thank you. All right.
Please share another poem.
Okay, so this is probably like maybe not my ending poem, but this is the one I guess we talked about. Like a predominant theme is where I am, where I'm from, where I'm going, and this one is definitely where I'm from and where I'm going because in addition to my the book coming out, I also have a homeland trip plan coming up for the summer as well. And when I think about homeland, I'm speaking particularly of the continent of Africa.
Yes.
And this is the poem that I wrote. I had a homeland quite like heaven on earth, until the serpent slid into my garden with lies like lightning, confounding my senses, conquering my resistance, with quivering punches, the pain settled in my wounds, in the wounds of those yet unborn, and attached itself like a birthright, stripped down, renamed. I'm just a stranger here, but I had a homeland. The end.
Wow. Which countries in Africa do you plan to visit?
Looking at Ghana, Nigeria, have a friend in Rwanda, and also Tanzania or Tanzania, depending on the various pronounce. So those are, I think Ghana would be the entry, and it'll be my first time, and then Nigeria, basically because Nigeria, that's I just think on GP, I've had a few people from from that country to tell me like, you're Nigerian, and then I took ancestry, had like 60%, and I'm not really sure of what I haven't done that in depth of what language or what tribal, because I know it's still vast and people move. But I started learning some Yoruba as well, just like some basic Yoruba phrases.
All right, very nice. What do you think your poetry conveys about being human?
I think my poetry runs the gamut, and I think it's also kind of like how you connect to the outside world.
Yes.
How you connect to others, and how you connect to yourself. So I think that's the three, I guess I'll say, major things.
Well, say those again, because I'm going to write them down. What did you say?
How you connect to the outside world,
outside world.
How you, it says vastly, how you connect to others. And I think when I think about others, not just, because I think more of others, one, the outside world. There's people you may not have relationships with. How you connect to others, I would say more your sphere then. Like family and friends and coworkers, and then how you connect to yourself.
Oh, very nice. Christy, how would you classify your ability to write poetry as a creative gift or creative art?
I think it's a gift.
Talk to me.
And the reason why I would say gift is because when I was growing up, I was painfully shy.
All right, then.
My family could attest, could definitely attest, and maybe some friends. Like painfully shy, meaning maybe I like went to the back when someone came over. I just wanted to read my books. I would probably mumble a lot when I talk, so I didn't want to talk often. I just wanted to say a few things and get out of there.
All right.
The reason why I say it's a gift, because in the midst of that, thoughts that wouldn't necessarily come out, like I said, fingers stop short, words stop short, and fingers must let them out. I found that a lot of things I observed would come out in the poetry, in my writings. And so this is why I think it's a gift. Also, to even be here on this show at this moment, your show would have been unfathomable at one point in life because I was just that shy. But I say to people, I said that I believe now since God passed me the mic, I have to go forth with it. And I think so. I feel like that must be it, because if you knew the old me, I could never. I would never. But at this point, so I do think it's a gifting. I think it is.
Well, I'm glad that you accepted my invitation, because you sound strong. And you speak and share with conviction. That's extremely important. Now, are you planning to go on stage? And have you been at open mics and spoken word poetry events? Have you done any of that?
I have done some open mic. Most of it, a few at Bus Boys. It's been a while though. At Bus Boys and Poets in Hyattsville. I did something in Mount Rainier, and I was actually, like I say, some of my things got shifted there. Okay. If you don't mind, I will do the first poem I ever did for open mic.
All right. I love it. All right. Let me sit back. Let me wipe my forehead. It's hot in here.
Okay.
Feel like I'm in North Carolina.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Okay, this is my first open mic poem. I have hated, I have waited to be saturated, elevated, have a slot slated for love, anticipated, celebrated, fascinated, not just pushed and shoved. Left frustrated, I debated why I committed original sin. I let you in. When it's over, I let you begin again. Keep coming inside, I let you hide. When it's wrong, I let you slide. But denied, I cried to God and said, how can this be? That I love him, but he don't love me. Did you say okay, or did I walk away? Now listen when you spoke. I put all my hope in the ooh-ah feeling, a.k.a. sexual healing. God, I'm only revealing what you already know. I'm caught in this flow of teeth and mouth. I watch real close to see what he's talking about. The way he say my name is profane, no shame. I change, I rearrange my identity to be whoever he wants me to be. And I can tell you that it ain't free, but it costs. My voice I have lost. My trust is false. Never picked up the cross, let my flesh be the boss. And now I'm twisted, no longer gifted. God spoke, I missed it. The curse not lifted, never had love, only lust shifted. The end.
I want you to say it again, but this time I want you to put your all into it. Put your all into it. Give it to us from your heart.
You want me to go back in time at the moment?
I do. It's too powerful a piece not to do that. Let the people know who's on the microphone.
Okay, I would, I'll summon those feelings from way back in the day. Okay.
All right, I'm ready.
I'm ready. Okay. All right. Okay, I think I'm ready. Okay.
Yes.
I have hated how I have waited to be saturated, elevated, have a slot slated for love, anticipated, celebrated, fascinated, not just pushed and shoved. Left frustrated, I debated why I commit original sin. I let you in. When it's over, I let you begin again. Keep coming inside, I let you hide. When it's wrong, I let you slide. But denied, I cried to God and said, how can this be? That I love him, but he don't love me. Did you say okay, or did I walk away, not listening when you spoke? I put all my hope in the ooh-ah feeling, a.k.a. sexual healing. God, I'm only revealing what you already know. I'm caught in this flow of teeth and mouth. I watch real close to see what he's talking about. The way he say my name is profane, no shame. I change, rearrange my identity to be who he wants me to be. And I can tell you that it ain't free, but it costs. My voice I have lost. My trust is false. Never picked up the cross. Let my flesh be the boss. And now I'm twisted, no longer gifted. God spoke, I missed it. The curse, not listed. Never had love, only lust shifted.
Wow.
The end.
Oh, wow. Wow. I really like that. How did you feel about that performance?
So, I wasn't going to do it. Like, I didn't have anyone to go with me. Like, just kind of like impromptu, like on a Thursday night. I hadn't really asked anyone either because I think if I would have, but I kind of, it's like an impromptu decision. And so, how like a lot of times at open mics, they will have the feature. And then, a bunch of people had already signed up even before me. So it's about the feature done, a number of poems, the feature poet, and then a few people. It was getting late. It was a school night. And I was like, I got to go home. I'm going. And then I heard my name. I said, I'm like, I'm going to sleep. I sleep by 9. And so when I did it, I felt pretty, comfortable about it. I don't know if I gave it the full whatever. I was just like feeling good just to do it. But when I came back to my seat, or even before, I got like, yeah, that's right. I got like a lot of, good feedback. Okay. And that crowd wasn't one to clap, though, if they didn't. So I didn't think anyone was just trying to, hype me up. They were ones to just be, radio silence. The radio silence will occur, because I saw it occur with 2 people. So I said, okay, some people, could connect, and who could not connect maybe to heartache or to loving someone more than they love, someone loving you in the way that you did not need to be loved, not loving you the way that you did need to be loved. So again, I think this kind of resonated because, people had been through that.
Well, what you just said, that's about assisting the voiceless find their voice, potentially through someone else, and that's also about empathy if they were able to hold on to those words that they understood. You see what I'm saying? Like heartbreak. That could bind us in terms of our understanding of each other because we both experienced it. Beautiful. Do you think you were meant to be a poet?
I think I do. I mean, yeah, I think I am. I was. Yes. Whatever.
Tell me why. I'm going to ask you why. Tell me why.
Also, was I must say it's in the blood. As my mom is a writer. She's a published author. She's a published author, yes. And as my dad has some writings that he has not yet, but my dad's an excellent storyteller as well too. And I think if his, poems, his writings were, published, he has some mind movies going. You can see, the curtain that's a little bit wind, barely that day and everything like that. So I think it's definitely like in my DNA to be a writer. And I think because I'm such a voracious reader as well too. And there's so many different, so I think the first person who she wrote how Stella got her groove back. Her name's escaping.
Yes, Terry McMillan.
Yes. Okay. So not the very first person, but I can remember being in junior high, reading some of her books, and saying, "I can write that." She's writing about people she knows. She's just writing. I know people. I can write about I'm making some trouble. I can write about this aunt and this uncle and this person at church. I mean, she's writing about it. I can do that as well. So I think I always have enjoyed reading, and then I guess it's a natural progression in writing. And I think they do. Some people probably do like to read, not to write so much, and maybe vice versa. But yeah. So I do think I was definitely meant to, and I think also because I observed this. Sometimes I mean I can remember a fact of something, but when there's a memory, an emotion, I can. I was telling my mom actually the other day. I can remember something that happened to me when I was 4, and that my uncle, I think his girlfriend, had a daughter around my age or whatever. I remember us playing. There would be swings in my grandparents' front yard or whatever. And I can remember when she left, crying and saying, "My friend's gone." And I'm a long way from 4 years old. But I can remember the trees. Almost just, So I think, it's something about it that I was meant to be a writer.
Well, what surprises you most then about being a poet?
It surprises me that people respond to my writing, that people are interested in my writing, that because sometimes I'm just kind of writing for me, I feel, to be honest, but then I got to the point to share it. Sometimes it surprises me to perspective. I can remember being in this group of haikus, and I kind of wrote this haiku that said, like, Jesus, take the wheel, I shouldn't be driving. That's very, I think very Christian, or very church. And then this guy responded, and he said, yes, because you had wine. You can, and I was like, that's not the path I was going. But then I was like, okay, I see your, and I think also, too, with 6-word stories, that was one of the things, because I can write, like, almost, pull, like, a lot of things in 6 words. And sometimes we had a story, I guess you say a story train going, And it would be great because you started with something and someone totally took it and someone would pull it back and I love that type of, I'm surprised that, and I think I was kind of surprised. Some of the stuff if I was typing, to be honest, and not to have, quote unquote, the big head. Because it's like some of the stuff that I wrote years ago that I'm just compiling it. I was like, ooh, okay. And other stuff I was like, But, like, what was going on here? But some stuff I was like, okay, girl, I didn't remember you wrote this. But all right. Like, I would buy this book, which is in here, some other stuff. So I think it's what surprises me is that sometimes what I produce in the writing, and that people are responsive to it. Most of the time positive, sometimes not necessarily negative. I know something I wrote years ago, and one of my coworkers, she said, oh, this is nice, but it's not, it's not very sunshine and lollipops. But I was like, you want sunshine and lollipops. You need to get someone else, because that's not really what I'm writing about. So it wasn't really negative, but then like some of the things, that people, it resonates with them and they respond, and that's surprising to me. Because maybe I'm thinking just all, but again, that's the connection. Because I'm kind of writing for me, basically.
There's a line in your bio where you state that she was a shy girl who discovered she could use her pen to give voice to her thoughts. If you had never shared that you had been shy, I would have never known it. Never known it. I would never know that.
Surprising.
No, I would never, ever pick that up. You might need to take that line out.
What else? Well, I also think I'm following my mother's footsteps again.
Okay.
To just, because my mom is very gregarious. She's very, like I said, she's a book publisher. She's very much, she'll be getting off the plane and have numbers, of strangers. Okay, I'm going to call you. And my mom said she was shy. And I was like, I cannot ever. But, so maybe it's in the DNA. I can't believe she was ever shy.
Well, we've reached the end of our poetic journey, but I'm wondering if you've got one more piece that you could send us home with. It could be short or long. It could be a haiku if you like.
Okay, let's see. Let me be very... Okay. Well, I have a few haikus here, and they're just, again, you can tell me, one is one of my favorite things, which is chocolate. I'm a non-recovering chocoholic. I don't want to. And this haiku is, chocolate wrappers, like ashes of cigarettes, adorn all her floors. And it's about truth. Like you have cigarette ashes, but I have ashes. That's the wrappers. I don't know, in the chocolate go to waste. So only the wrappers. Another is night falls, day rises. She in a state of unrest welcomes the escape. So that's another haiku.
Give me one more.
Okay, but this one happens to be the next one on here, so I'm going to go with it. Okay, haiku. I'm a follower of table flipping Jesus, and I will lay hands. Haiku.
You've got to say that one again.
And that's
a little bit louder. And a little bit louder so the world can hear it.
Okay, haiku. I'm a follower of table flipping Jesus, and I will lay hands.
Great. Christy, I want to thank you for accepting my invitation to come on and share your work. Like I said again, I want you to come back when you've completed your book and share more of your work. You write exceptionally well. I enjoyed listening to you. You may need to think about putting together an audiobook too.
Okay. I'll definitely make a note.
Make a note.
Also, thank you. I thank you so much for giving the opportunity on your platform. It's much appreciated. And definitely, I will stay here so there will be recorded witness that when my book is done, I will definitely reach out to you again for opportunity.
All right.
So thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Christy Sawyer, everybody. You're going to be looking for a delicate rose with thorns later in 2023. And as I share with you every week, that poetry rings somewhere throughout the land. Good night. Good night, Christy.
Good night. Good night, all. Good night, Mike.
Quintessential Listening Poetry Online Radio is available on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. You can also check out the website at qlpor.com.